So in one of these shows, you had a 19-year-old, really tall boy, 19-year-old, and a young chap. He actually looked like an Indian. I thought he was Indian. Um, so this boy came from a very poor family, and the beauty about him was he was 19. He was working in a Mexican fast food joint, and whatever he learned was by looking at other people. He was so poor that he couldn't afford to go to school. Okay, and his parents, whatever he used to earn, he used to feed his parents, take care of his parents, and during his free time, he used to study how to cook. So this guy, to everyone's surprise, he not only qualified, he made it to, I think, nearly the top five or top six. And you keep it keeps getting tougher and tougher as it goes up. So one of the dishes that he was asked to prepare, like it was the theme of the evening, they had to prepare Italian pasta. You have to cook it from scratch. And this is something I found out only after watching. There are different kinds of pastas. The normal ones which we eat outside, the flat ones, those are easy to make. But then there are those which have to be a particular shape. And then there is the most difficult one is where it's a pasta and inside you need to have the yolk, yellow part of the egg. And it has to be cooked in a certain temperature to a certain time where when you cut, the egg yolk comes yellow cooked outside. Very hard to make. Okay. So because there were some six contestants, each one was given a level which was even higher than, like the toughest was given to the toughest chef. They would decide randomly. So this boy was given a semi-tough pasta, which had to be like a roll. It had to be like a roll, sphere kind of, no, not sphere, like a tube. The problem is this guy had never cooked pasta in his life because he was working in a Mexican fast food joint. He comes from the lower strata of society, and pasta is more like for the elite. So he was asked to make a dish, and obviously he didn't have experience. So he made a dish of whatever he thought, and he presented it to the uh, judges. And the judges have to be rough, tough, and he got ripped apart. They said, "This is rubbish. This is not the way you make pasta. It's very soggy, not tasty." And finally, Gordon Ramsay. And by the way, the Gordon Ramsay had asked him, like, tell me about yourself, during the course of the competition. He said, I come from a poor family. My mother and father have to look after them. I don't have money for education. I learned by watching others cook or YouTube. So he had made the worst dish, and they had decided it was time for him to get eliminated. And when they told him, sorry, but um, you are being voted out of the competition, the boy stood there, tall boy. He started to have tears in his eyes because this was his dream to win the competition. So Gordon Ramsay, what he tells him is, young man, um, what do you plan to do after this? I'm paraphrasing. So I'll go back to my Tex-Mex, just cook and hope for some dream. I don't have money for studies, take care of my parents. So Gordon Ramsay tells him, you're not going to go back to that restaurant. You're going to go to a culinary school where they teach you cooking. I'm going to pay the entire fees, the whole thing for this. And you're going to complete and graduate and become a chef. And you will not only do that, after you finish, one other chef was there. He said, you're going to come and work for me. And sorry. So Gordon Ramsay said, I'll pay for your entire thing and you'll become a certified chef. The other world class chef said, you're going to come and work for me. So, in other words, you're going to achieve your dream. So, even though he didn't win the competition, he is going to study in the world's best culinary school and is going to work for under the world's best chef. Now, when you hear the story, you feel good. He was crying, everyone's crying, his dream has come true, he's 19 years old. Now, here's the shocker. Okay, here's the shocker. Normally, when we hear a happy ending, this is where the movie ends and says the end. He achieved his dream. However, because he didn't win the competition, there was another MasterChef episode where they called all the chefs for the second time. The ones who didn't win but had the potential to win, they called them for the second time, and he was one among them. And this time he was, I think, 24 or something. He was not 19. And this time, almost everyone believed this guy is going to win. Sure, he's going to win. Why? Because previously he had only reached the top five or top six without any education, without any guidance, without any experience. So this time, surely, with the world class education received, with the world class certification, with the world class experience of working for a world class chef, he will achieve number one. And I was intently watching this season, which was like 4, 5, 6 years after the previous one where he worked. And before I tell you what are the results, just pause, predict what the results are in the comment section and tell me. Do you think he won the first place, second place, third place? What? Written the answer? Don't cheat. Okay. I'll tell you what happened. It was a shocker because the guy, he kind of got eliminated in the same level at number six, the top six or something. And every time he was nearly getting eliminated, he kept saying that Gordon Ramsay trusted me. He paid for my education. I can't let him down. This other chef entrusted me with work in his kitchen. I can't let him down. The thing that shocked me even more was his performance that time versus his performance this time. This one was even worse. Every time he kept fumbling or making some shitty mistake or some issue. And it was shocking because at one time, the first time when he was 19, they had predicted he was a prodigy. They had predicted that he's a guy born with this talent. He's meant to achieve greatness. But, and that was when he didn't have any training, no education, no guidance, pure willpower, pure skill, pure, the fire inside. And this time during the second chance, instead of improving from where he was more or less the same, even worse. And he got eliminated. And, where previously he had the underdog story and you kind of wanted him to win. This time when I watched him, I was like, what bullshit here. So even though he was supposed to be a prodigy, even though the prediction was he was meant to achieve greatness, he was just nothing but ordinary. Nothing but ordinary, nothing but vanilla. It kind of reminds me of so many prodigies are there, whether in movies, whether in karate, whether in MMA. There's one guy, I'll not take his name because he lives here in some movie. He might come and might end up beating me up. He was an MMA fighter. I'll not give specific details. They had predicted that this guy, same story. At the age of 19 or whatever he started, he was winning every competition. Everybody predicted that he is going to be the greatest fighter in the world in another few years. Quite a number of people invested in his stock, many sponsorships. And mind you, he didn't smoke, he didn't drink, he didn't do anything bad. Unfortunately, he had made some series of bad choices, which I don't want to be specific. Nothing with drugs or alcohol, whatever. And where this guy was predicted to achieve greatness, to become the next Muhammad Ali, Manny Pacquiao, Mike Tyson, he ended up becoming the most ordinary fighter. In fact, I personally met him. I found him to be a little bit of a crackpot. Maybe because of the hits he got on his head or So the point I'm trying to make here is, life is so strange. Sometimes you see so much promise, so much of potential in an individual, and then when as time passes by, you realize it was nothing but just hype. I was really, really, I would say, yeah, because maybe I was invested in it emotionally. I really wanted him to succeed. I really believed in him, wanted him to achieve greatness, but he was overhyped. That is why anybody who comes to me with their child and says, "My child is meant to achieve greatness. See how much talent. Oh, my child is super smart." And I just tell them, life is too unpredictable to predict who's going to achieve greatness. Because if you're not consistent, if your eye is not on the prize, you're not focused, life is too unpredictable with too many curved balls. And whom you thought was meant to achieve greatness, it end up being one of the worst stories ever. So this was a very powerful lesson I got reminded of when I watched MasterChef. You can Google search and check who this boy is. I don't want to mention his name. It's not good because who knows? Maybe he's trying to succeed in life. He wants to make his personal brand. So let me know, what are your thoughts? Do you resonate with what I shared? And what do you think? I'd love to hear from you. Good, bad, ugly, comment down below. This is me signing off. Ciao.